Fowler. On that note, we are going to bring in Swagoo, Marcus Spears. Where is he?
What's up, people?
There he is. Marcus, this time last year, things were a lot different for you.
Are you looking at Swagoo? He look all buffed and everything like he about to get in the cage.
I'm losing weight.
John Bones Jones or somebody. Look at that big boy.
I'm trying to build some muscle. I'm sick of being thick. I need to build muscle. I need to lean out. So
well, I do have. Listen. Based on what you just said, I have very bad news for you. I have very bad news. There ain't no way in hell you getting away with not being thick. That ain't a part of you at all. I mean, can you imagine a skinny Marcus Spears? That ain't gonna happen.
I was thick when I was born, so I'm gonna stay thick. I'm gonna just have more muscle on it.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
What's up, Molly? You look great
Marcus,
today, Molly.
There's no
dealing with these two.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen, Mark is professional athlete, his wife, he's got this. He's got this under control, right? Your son's about to be a superstar, too. We already know your daughter is like #1 volleyball player in the country.
Molly, did you know his wife?
But we will stay focused.
His wife jumped on me.
Yeah.
Him and his wife jumped. You know, she jumped.
I knew
she
it.
jumped. You know, say she
Another
jumped on me.
reason I like her.
I'm just saying.
And Damian Woody's wife got all over you.
They both, the wives got on me. The wives got on me. You know, but Damian lost his credibility when he showed up on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? He did all
Oh, my goodness. Stephen A., I used to get on you, too, but now I just let it go because I know you're going to do what you want to do. Unbelievable. Please don't ever sway your hips like that again. I just can't handle that. Oh, my goodness.
This dude, man.
All right. Marcus, this time last year we were down there in LSU.
Miami.
You were celebrating all that in New Orleans. Different deal right now. But Stephen A., let's go back to the Eagles firing Pederson. Much more serious note.
Yeah.
Do you even think this was the right decision? Do you think he was the problem in Philadelphia?
Listen. I'm not going to absolve him. They went 4-11-1. And you can't absolve the head coach when something like that happens, Molly, and we get all of that. But, I mean, damn. You got to remember, Molly, I worked for the Philadelphia Inquirer for 17 years. Okay, I was a college beat writer and then an NBA writer and, you know, and a general sports columnist and all of that other stuff. 17 years I was there. And they never won a championship. And they had been to the Super Bowl. They hadn't been to the Super Bowl until they got there against Jacksonville in 2004. They hadn't been there since 1980. And they had never won a Super Bowl championship in the franchise's history. We are 3 years removed from this man delivering the Super Bowl championship. And by the way, they had been to the playoffs the previous 3 years. And then all of a sudden, things collapsed this year, and he's out. I just feel like it's something that rubs me the wrong way about this. Carson Wentz was awful. Howie Roseman needs to be held accountable for it. We get all of that. Even though I would give him and Doug Pederson a chance to come back and make amends. They were awful. But for Doug Pederson to be the lone dude that received the pink slip, I just got a problem with that right now. I mean, listen, it's Philadelphia, and Philadelphia was starving for a Super Bowl championship for folks' entire lives, and after, you know, for the first time in the franchise history, he delivers a Super Bowl championship, and 3 years later he's out of a job. There's something about that just rubs me the wrong way. I don't think that was the right decision. I think it was more about Carson Wentz. And I'm not saying that Pederson deserves to be absolved. I'm not saying any of them deserve to be devoid of being held accountable. But they have earned the right to come back and make amends for a one-year debacle. And I think they should have been granted that, and I was unfortunate that they weren't.
As a Giants fan, I wish they were. I hope they bring them all back and keep them as long as possible. Great. That'd be great for me as a Giants fan. I have no problem with Pederson getting the pink slip. My problem is Howie Roseman didn't also get one. I understand it's hard to move Carson Wentz's atrocious contract, but when you want to look at the common denominator of the problems, it's Carson Wentz. Who did Pederson win that Super Bowl with? Wentz didn't play in any playoff games. None. Zero. That was Nick Foles. And the following year, with that valiant title defense, it was Nick Foles who took over the team. They were 5-6, caught fire, made the playoffs, went on the road to Soldier Field, beat the Bears, who a lot of people like to get out of the NFC that year, and then went to Drew Brees' house and came one Alshon Jeffrey drop away from getting to the NFC Championship game. I mean, if you're going to defend your title, that's how you do it. All Nick Foles. Matter of fact, even last year, look at how Josh McCown, a one-legged 40-year-old quarterback, how did he perform in the playoffs? They lost to Seattle, by the same exact score that they'd lost to Seattle in Week 12 with Carson Wentz as the quarterback. And now how about Jalen Hurts? How have the Eagles looked since Jalen Hurts took over? They look good. Peterson knows what he's doing with quarterbacks. There's one guy who's resisted him. There's one guy who's willfully wanted to do it his own way. We've talked about that on this show a lot, and that's Carson Wentz. That's the common denominator. Look at the immovable contract. Who gave him that contract? That's Howie Roseman, the same guy who can't draft. 5 years, half a decade since he's drafted a Pro Bowler. Who was Wentz, by the way? Half a decade since he's drafted a Pro Bowler. Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf. Rager over Justin Jefferson. And they have cap issues. Their cap is a mess. So how is Roseman still there? If Pederson gets the pink slip, Peterson's got to go because he never asserted himself when he could have. Even what I've heard is he was still fighting to try to fix Carson Wentz. But maybe that's because you know you're married to the guy. You can't get rid of him. No one wants that stinking contract. For that reason, Roseman had to go along with Pederson. Pederson shouldn't be the only guy fired.
No, he shouldn't have been fired. And it's because, number one, I got to tell both of y'all, I played for the Cowboys. And like Stephen A. reminds me, between 2005 and 2013, I played for 3 head coaches in Dallas. Went to the playoffs twice, and that was with Wade Phillips. These dudes don't grow on trees. Doug Pederson didn't all of a sudden become a bad coach. All right. He didn't all of a sudden forget how to get a team ready to play and get them to perform at a high level. I want anybody to show me a team with a quarterback playing as bad as Carson Wentz that won a lot of games. Somebody show me one in the history of the league. And then you look at all of the things that transpired. They had 13 different, Sal Powell was on earlier. He came on our show yesterday. 13 different combinations on this offensive line. Mike McCarthy just got a pass because of all the attrition and the year of COVID and all of these things. And you telling me the Philadelphia Eagles fired Doug Pederson after what Stephen A. just said, brought a Super Bowl, put a statue of him and Nick Foles out there last year, took them to the playoffs with a team that was beat up as well. And then this year, everything came to a head with this record because your quarterback couldn't play. Like, that's the honest truth. Now, here's what I will say. I said Doug Pederson after the Washington game, I said the only way Doug Pederson should be fired is if he lost the locker room. If a lot of these guys are returning, don't have faith that their coach is going to put them in the best possible situation to win games. And you could argue that. I wasn't mad about the decision to play Safell in the game against the Washington football team because it didn't matter anyway. Doug Pederson ain't give a damn about helping the Giants or the Cowboys or anybody else. But the point being is you have 2 overall conversations transpiring. Can Doug Pederson coach? Yes. You answer that question. Did Doug Pederson have success in Philly? Yes. Does Super Bowl coaches get a pass? Yes. Mike McCarthy, the damn head coach in Dallas right now because of a Super Bowl in Green Bay. Nobody else was kicking the door down to hire Mike McCarthy. Doug Pederson will find himself a job pretty soon here, I'm sure. The other part and the caveat and the thing that is the reason why Doug Pederson was fired, number one, to Max's point, and Max, you've been right on this all along, they appease to Carson Wentz. Doug Pederson is gone because of Carson Wentz. That's the reason he got fired. And the other one, I don't know this. I'm not in the inner workings of this franchise. If he lost the locker room, I'm talking about guys that's going to have to come back and play very important parts for this team, then you have to move on. If it's falling on deaf ears, either you move on from the coach or you get rid of those players that won't listen to the message.
Marcus, he wasn't allowed to pick his own staff. Even now, I think because he knows there's no way to move Carson Wentz. I got to fix him. He wanted Press Taylor to be promoted to get the offensive coordinator job. And they wouldn't do it, right? Like, so if you are a Super Bowl winning head coach and then the next year you have a follow-up like that, that's the time to assert yourself. But Jeffrey Lurie wouldn't let it happen. Lurie, Roseman, whoever, wouldn't let it happen. Yeah. And now he decides, now I'm going to assert myself. Now I'm going to insist on Press Taylor. Too late. Not after the way this season went. You are right. He's proven himself an excellent coach, Pederson, and very good for quarterbacks. You are right. He'll get another head coaching job. That's different than saying he shouldn't be fired. This can't work anymore. He's got to go. So does Roseman.
I think your argument, I just have a problem with it. You, in the same breath that you're saying he's excellent, you're recognizing the fact that he's a Super Bowl championship, but you don't want to give him an opportunity to make amends for a problem that he contributed to. Think about what we're saying here. Even if we stomach, Max, and completely accept the fact that you're absolutely right in terms of of the accountability you want to attach to Doug Pederson, let's take into account what Marcus Spears said. Excellent coaches do not grow on trees. If you're going to utter out of your mouth that he is excellent, if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles franchise, and 3 years ago this man brought the first Super Bowl championship, not 10 years ago, not 20 years ago, 3 years ago, this man just brought a Super Bowl championship to our squad with a backup quarterback. I just think you can look at it and go like this. Okay, listen, you need to come back and make up for what happened here.
Stephen
I think he deserves that opportunity
they won't let
to
him
do
succeed,
that.
Stephen A. Beyond the Super Bowl.
I would agree if he could succeed, they won't let him.
Beyond the Super Bowl, he just took a beat-up team to the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
We're not talking about a coach that you have to question if he can get a team to play hard and at times
and you have to question if he knows what he's doing.
Level.
And you have to question if he knows what he's doing. Nobody's questioning that about Doug Pederson.
That's no question. But I can two-part this, and I know we hate to do this because you got to fall in one side. But if a coach loses the locker room, then you really have no choice other than trying to repair that situation. But this was all about, and Max, this was all about the general manager choosing Carson Wentz. I gotta that is the underlying factor here. If the general manager,
the
owner chose Carson Wentz. No, it was the general manager. The general manager sided with that decision because that is what would save his job. That is what would say you just talked about the bad decision making. Go ahead.
Jeffrey Lurie, and Steven knows this from his time in Philly very well, I'm sure. Jeffrey Lurie has gone through this before, and he's considered this great owner, but I think he spent a lot of that capital just now. He sided the year the Eagles went 6-10. There was a fractured locker room, McNabb and T.O. He sided with his quarterback. Now, that was the right thing to do. It was the greatest quarterback in the history of the franchise. In his prime, you side with the quarterback, but it did divide the locker room. Yeah. Now he's done it again with Wentz. And he did it not with the greatest quarterback in franchise history, but a guy who's tearing the team down. And he's created a difficult situation for his head coach. To the point, guys, that I don't think Pederson would have been set up to succeed no matter what in Philadelphia. My point is he's the fall guy for Wentz right now. For Wentz and Roseman. The three of them should be gone, not just Pederson.
I was just about to say, it's funny. And we understand it because we heard all of these reports coming out of Philly. But it's